Hi, this is Katie Burns with Live Well, and I'm joined with special guest Lindsey Lively, and today we are going to talk about why music matters. And I asked her to be on the show because, as many of you may or may not know, there's been some music issues here in Bledsoe County, and she gave a very passionate speech on social media about why music matters, and it just flew. I mean, you have over 10,000 views, over, let me look at my notes here, 314 shares. And that's all organic reach. So obviously music does matter, and they were very interested in your message. It was so well done. I was very impressed that I immediately messaged you and say, you know, you have to come on this show and talk about why music matters, because I do believe music is part of a well-balanced life.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So tell a little bit about how music has enriched your life.
So I started out with the music program. I sort of was interested in music all my life. I sang up through, you know, I sang in like church choir and stuff. But when I got to middle school was when I really got into music. I joined the middle school band program.
Yeah.
And the middle school choir program. And middle school, for anyone, is just a terrible time in life.
It's a rough season.
It's a rough time. But for me, it had some sort of added challenges. Mm-hmm. I had a couple health issues. I was diagnosed with a neurological condition that caused me to lose some of my fine motor skills. So,
oh, that's so challenging at that age.
Yes, and at that age, it was extremely difficult. But the band, when I joined the band and when I joined choir, when I got involved in the music program, it sort of gave me a place of belonging and a place that sort of gave me a sense of this is where I belong, and here I feel like I can contribute and I'm important. And the band, we were a family.
Yeah. Now, what instrument did you play in the band?
I played trumpet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, were you a trumpet player before joining the band?
No, and one of the great things about the band, I remember when I went to my first little band meeting, Hudson had a band meeting during the summer, and any interested kids could come in and just try any instrument they wanted. And he was like, so what do you want to try? And we tried a couple instruments, and then he like gave me a trumpet. He was like, I think you should try this one. And I was like, yeah. So I got really into it.
Yeah. And now what inspired you to even go to that? Because like you said, you were a singer.
Right.
But playing instruments is a whole nother deal. What gave you the courage to say, I'm going to try and play an instrument that I have never touched before in my life and venture into this world of band?
Well, I just sort of felt like, because I was musical already and I liked music, and my parents sort of encouraged it a little bit, and my brother had done it the year before, I felt like, yeah, this is something I want to do, and I just tried it, and I was nervous. I remember coming in, and Mr. Hudson was like, you look real nervous about this, and he let me just try all the other instruments, and I just absolutely
connected with the trumpet.
Yeah.
And are you still playing the trumpet?
I am. I do sing a lot more now.
Yeah. Well, that's really taking you quite far, your singing, which we'll get into more of that later. So you go in there and then you're trying the trumpet, and so you join the band?
Yes. Joined middle school band, and then did that on up throughout middle school.
Okay.
And then you go to high school and there's marching band and concert band. So I did that my freshman year of high school.
Okay. Now tell me the difference between marching band and concert band.
Okay. So marching band is the first semester, and we start actually before school starts. We have band camp. And so it's like...
You've heard a lot of things about band camp. There's a lot of movies made about band camp.
Oh, yes.
We want to assure people here in Bledsoe County that was not the case.
No.
Not like the movies.
No,
okay.
It's not like this one time at band camp.
Yeah.
So like we would come to band camp, and we'd work on the repertoire for the year and just sort of get introduced, and it was a way for like the incoming freshmen to meet the seniors, and we'd sort of talk about what the ideas were going to be for the season, and we'd start a little bit on working on our marching and all that stuff, and that was Band camp was real fun.
Yeah.
And then,
Sounds hot.
So hot. Yeah.
Wasn't this out in the parking lot?
This was in the parking lot of the high school.
Oh my goodness. What month?
Oh gosh, I think it was the month before school started.
July?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it was hot.
So you were very dedicated.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All the
Dedicated
band,
to
and that was a requirement. You had to go to band camp if you were going to be in a marching band.
Okay.
So,
All right. So you started doing that, and then what happened?
And then you go into the actual marching band season, which is fun. You have in-class rehearsal, but then there's also like after-class rehearsal where we'd practice our routines and stuff.
Okay.
And then we would travel to different football games, and we had the cool thing about marching band is obviously you have a show. You know, it's not just like sitting there playing instruments. You march and you like put on a show and have a theme, and that was pretty interesting.
For each football game?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, how many people at the time were when you were in the band? Which would have been what year?
Oh,
well,
gosh.
it was just to high school, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how many people were there? Were in your band?
20-ish. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty good size.
Yeah, pretty good size.
And did you also do parades?
We do. We always do the Pikeville parade every year that they have it.
You know, they're having more parades now.
Yeah.
Have you noticed?
Yeah.
Pikeville's gotten to be quite entertaining. Anyway,
it's grown.
Continue on. Side note, there's a lot of activities happening in Pikeville. Okay, so you did the football games and away games. So you really built quite a connection with these band members.
Oh yes, yeah. The band really is a family, and it just gives you a place of belonging. The band really does.
Yeah, and just very accepting. But what I like is that was a place where you were gifted. It was a place where you were talented, and not everyone has the same gifts or talents. But this is where you clicked, and then you got to, collaborate with those that were like-minded.
Exactly.
Which it goes with what you were talking about. It gave you a place. Just like somebody that's, a mathlete or is just really interested in the sciences, and having a science fair personally may not have been something that I did because that wasn't where I excelled in life. But for those people, they want that also.
Exactly.
They want that connection with their peers, and they want to be able to excel in those areas.
Absolutely.
So that's what it was for you, is a way to excel and grow, and then it took you pretty far.
It took me pretty far, both the music program at Bledsoe, both choir and band. I ultimately ended up pursuing more vocal music, and because I just felt like I was pretty good at that, but I took that on up.
She's pretty good.
Okay, I'm better at that. But, I took that on up into college. I got a music scholarship to Maryville College, and so I'm a music education major there now.
Yeah.
But that never would have been possible if I hadn't have had that initial interaction with music from the band, which is what gave me first was the band, and it gave me that place of belonging and that I matter.
Yeah, and to grow and do more.
Yes.
Do more, be more.
Made me want to get more involved with music and find out, what is there out there.
Yeah. And Maryville is a private college.
Yes.
So that's kind of expensive.
Yeah. It
quite nice to have a scholarship there.
It is.
Yeah.
It's quite nice to have a music scholarship up
That's
there.
outstanding. And you're studying music education.
Yes.
Okay. And you hope to be?
Music teacher. So.
So is any of that daunting for you, looking at kind of what's happened here locally? Is that daunting for you going forward as a career choice?
Oh, absolutely. There's been, and I can't count the number of people that have said, people are cutting this, and I'd like to I'd like to feel that there was a place for arts in our school. I think that a lot of people tend to think of the arts as frills, There's something that, they're nice, but they're not important, but they are.
Right.
They really are important, and there's so much value. We've seen time and time again studies that have shown the correlation between student performance and involvement in the arts, and I know that you probably
absolutely well, I mean, you can just look at the way that the brain grows. To speak in very common terms, your brain is constantly developing, and if you don't give it the opportunity to have a well-rounded picture, not just focusing on one area or another, then those connections just will not form.
Absolutely.
So that can be visual, that can be listening to music, that can be playing music. I know that playing music obviously builds higher connections because it's much more difficult than listening to music.
Right.
So doing that, they've talked a lot about classical music and math. I'll tell you a little bit in a minute about my history with classical music. I don't know that it helped me with math. or maybe it just wasn't possible. But I do know that it definitely benefited my growth and my education. And we've heard for years, arts, consistently isn't going to be as popular as sports.
Right.
Sadly, if you're giving a piano performance, there's probably not going to be people wearing your colors and cheering you during your piano performance.
I would.
Thank you. But that's just kind of the way that we're wired, especially here in the South.
Absolutely.
We're a big sports area, would you say?
Oh yes.
Yeah, and so that's not something that usually we have to worry too much about. Maybe the lesser. There's always people that talk about the lesser sports or the less popular sports. I know that my nephew plays lacrosse. Well, not every school has a lacrosse team.
Right.
And so he has to go where there's a lacrosse team, and he's not going to give up his sport. Right. Because the school doesn't offer lacrosse.
Exactly.
So what happens is he changes schools.
Exactly.
And sadly that can be a lot of people's situation right now, where the arts is where they're gifted and they need to have that education.
I think for a lot of people, and myself included, going to school, the arts and music was my sport. It was the thing. It was the place that I belonged. And if I didn't have that, I'm not sure that I wouldn't have changed schools,
Yeah.
I mean, it was very important. And I think that the argument that people make for sports is, it's good, it promotes teamwork and leadership and stuff, but music does the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in a band or a choir.
You're working towards a common goal. You have to rely on your band members to get you there. So it promotes the same sort of qualities. Yeah.
I don't even know that I can say that anymore, given that I counseled a lot of athletes in my earlier mental health days, and looking at sports or working with some coaches over the years, I've seen a lot of sports have become very individualized.
Yes.
Where they're about just the kid excelling and getting a scholarship to college, not about the team. And if the team isn't doing well, the kid moves in order to be on a winning team. So I'm not really sure that it's even promoting that anymore. It seems kind of individualist.
And like in band or in choir, it's just not possible, because to be an individual in band is bad, because then you stick out from the group, which takes away from the ensemble.
Yeah, your trumpet's off.
You have to be with everyone else, the whole band, and the whole band has to work together to get there. And that's the same with choir. If you are singing way louder than everyone else, the whole group's going to sound bad.
Everybody's looking at you.
You all have to work together and have that sort of common goal. Right. We're going to sound good,
Exactly.
Work together.
Exactly. So even if other people don't understand, why music matters, or it seems like it's not the mass popular vote, because like you said, 20, so it's not like there was 200. Right. Some bands in some different schools where there's a larger population are quite large.
Right.
And so
I would make the argument, this is Bledsoe County, and we have a small population.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
And it's getting smaller.
It's getting smaller.
A lot of people aren't choosing, apparently, according to the article. I went back and looked at the article that Tyler Jett with the Times Free Press wrote about, talking about the decrease in population of people going here to local schools.
Absolutely.
And people having to move out of county or paying to go out of district.
Absolutely. And I think that taking away programs like the band or getting rid of music, it does not help that at all, because the kids with those interests or academically gifted kids are more likely to leave and go to schools with better resources that can help them get to where they want to be. Yeah,
because you just never know. You never know your own individual path. For me, a little bit, because I told you I'd tell you my story, is I was really struggling academically, and people find that hard to believe now because I have a master's in mental health, and a dual focus master's. It was school counseling and mental health, and I mean, I was failing. It was ugly, and teachers were not kind to me because I was in a private education, and you just really couldn't do that.
Right.
You couldn't not do well academically. And where I was excelling was in ballet, and which wasn't offered at the school, but also music. I really clicked with classical piano. Now, I took this not at school. At school, I was doing show choir.
Right.
We had that. That was fun because there was dancing involved with that, and so that did well for me. And also, I wasn't, as you would say, an outcast, because I did not play sports in school, but I did do show choir, and I did do the plays. They have the musicals. But what happened with me and my piano journey is, it just kind of took off for me. And because I was excelling there, I put a lot of focus on that. And then the academics or the not succeeding there helped me not to feel like a complete failure in life. Because, you got a big F on your grade, but you're winning piano competitions. You're like, okay, so maybe I'm just not great at everything. Right. Maybe I just can't do math, or maybe I really do not understand geography and history, and still struggle in those areas. But where it led me was I was practicing piano on vacation in New York because I had to prepare for competitions, and this is something that you can, music can go everywhere with you. And so I was doing that, and a teacher from Juilliard heard me. Wanted me to move to New York and study underneath him. This was during my 8th grade year. My parents were like, maybe not move to New York, because we lived in a small town. And so I would fly up there once a month to study underneath him. I practiced for 4 hours a day. I only went to school half day. Wow. So just really, immersed myself in it. And, it was just such an exciting adventure for me. And they were like, well, she's the music girl. She's the girl that, is going to be playing at church, or come play this concert. And that's what she did. So it was no longer like, she's dumb, because they're like, she can't be if she's doing this. So I do think that music is incredibly, I dropped my mic. I do think that music is incredibly important. And, for people to know that just because decisions are made in life, there's always things that you cannot control, doesn't mean that you shouldn't celebrate or continue to increase your craft.
Absolutely.
And go after, your talents, your God-given talents.
Absolutely. Never stop pursuing music.
Never stop. But it's disappointing anytime there's a lack of funding.
Oh, absolutely.
So if there's one thing that you could tell classmates that are right now, looking at going into the fall semester next year, what would you share with them about this decision and how to stay connected despite?
Never stop participating in music. So if you were in band, just keep playing your instrument. Play it. This does not have to be the end of that. You can play it. I mean, now we live in a modern age. You can get on YouTube and look up some tutorials if you have to.
That is so true.
But then again, also, don't give up the fight. Don't go down easy. Let this keep telling people that this is important to you, that this matters to you, that music is something that you're willing to fight for. Yeah. That there is value in that, and don't let people sort of tell you that it's not important or that it's a hobby for you. It's not really important. It is important. So remember that.
I think that's a really good point. A lot of times I think we can get discouraged about letting our voice be heard.
Yes.
And it can seem daunting to try and say, oh, what is it going to matter?
Right.
Nobody's going to listen to me. And lo and behold, was it just a whim that you just got on there and made this video?
It's like, you know what? I'm just going to do it.
Did you have a script? Because it was so well organized.
I thought it through in my head, but I wasn't reading anything. I was just talking.
Because you just got on, and now, everyone just really connected with it.
Yeah, so don't stop fighting for what you believe in. If music is important to you, keep promoting
Keep doing it. Keep learning. That's important.
Oh, always. Never stop learning.
Oh, well, no, there's always something to learn in regards to
Every
music.
day.
And I think that, if possible, hopefully still get together with your friends.
Absolutely.
Just because there's not an organized summer band camp, maybe there can be something else where you still get to meet up, maybe not on hot pavement. And
hang in the air conditioning.
At least. Or maybe at the farmer's market where it's covered.
Oh, yeah.
Or I wonder if they could just play out there. Wouldn't that be neat if we just had to get together? They probably don't even have access to the instruments, but it would be neat if the music could keep playing even outside.
And I hope that it can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a neat story. Well, anything else that you feel, is important for people to know about why music matters?
It's just a place of belonging for each and every person. And for some kids, it is their sport. And for some kids, it's the place that they belong. It's the reason they want to get up and go to school in the morning. And I think it's an absolute shame that it's been taken away. Yeah.
And, even there's a lot of popularity around songs. You helped us with the TV station doing,
That's the highlight of my career.
Happy. No, it wasn't.
Right there.
Right. Well, I think that people do appreciate music even if they don't have gifts in that area. They like to listen to it. Maybe they're not going to be the next greatest pop star.
Right.
But there's still a lot of value in it. Tell me some other things that you're doing before our time ends today, outside of school.
Outside of school. Well, this summer, I actually got asked, this came through school, but I took an opera class at school just for fun. I was like, I don't know, this sounds fun. And out of that came an invitation from the head of the opera department at Georgia State to study up there this summer. So I'm going to the Harrower Opera program this summer, and I'll be in 2 operas up there, and I'm really excited about that.
Now, my mother sang with the Nashville Opera Company for years. She was a very gifted singer. I did not get that. I did show choir, but I never reached that level. So being at that level is really quite an honor.
I'm pretty excited.
So are you thinking about opera?
Maybe.
I can't believe you didn't think about it before. Honestly, with the way that your voice...
It's a new interest. I never thought about it.
Yeah, and see, you mentioned that before we started filming today. I'm like, I have to remember to come back to that, because I always thought surely that was something in your back pocket.
Well, thank you. No, and I had never been to an opera until this year, until I took that class and they took us out to see an opera.
And what did you think?
It was amazing.
Opera is something, a lot of people feel is an acquired taste.
Yes.
It can be heavy, it can be dark, you can be lost.
Oh, sad. It was so sad.
Which one did you see?
Laboen.
Oh.
That was so
well,
sad. Start
with a classic.
And it's because obviously they weren't speaking English, and so people are like, how can you connect with something like that? It's just beautiful.
It's just the music.
Beautiful.
Even Pandora, for those of you at home, they have playlists or stations called romantic opera or classic opera, and you will hear some of those famous songs come through, and there's just nothing like turning that on, making some nice spaghetti, thinking that you're in Italy. And that, if you're at home with young children, you want to have that kind of stuff playing. You want to have classical music out there for them to enjoy, bluegrass, opera, and give them a wide variety, not just stick with pop, because that's very limiting in musicality. Could we say it that way? And so going back to some of the more traditional, historically revered songs is a great place to start with your young children, so that it can start to build those connections.
And going off that, where I've gotten with opera and all this different things, none of that would have been possible if I hadn't have had that initial interaction through the band program.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Because it's really helped you. It was your first brave step into something that was not known, and you thought, I'm just going to give this a try, and I'm going to step out.
Absolutely.
And that was fostered for you. It was encouraged for you. It was a positive experience. Thus, when something else comes up in life, like this opera, I'm going to do it again.
And I think for a lot of kids, band and the program at Bledsoe County would be that for them as well.
Yeah.
That initial introduction to music, and it can possibly take kids with those sort of talents much further than just Bledsoe County.
Well, sometimes we don't even know. We don't even know we're musically talented because
Until you get there.
People don't have the opportunity.
Right.
I mean, you didn't have a trumpet.
Exactly. I don't own a trumpet.
I don't own a trumpet, you know, and you don't know what you're going to click with, what you're going to connect until all of a sudden you have this laid out in front of you. You have someone assisting you saying, give it a try.
Right.
You know, move forward. And, you know, sometimes kids these days pick up something for 5 minutes and then they put it down. But at least with this program, it was, you know, a community situation, so you wanted to connect and stay involved and not just, I'm going to play the recorder for 5 minutes and then I'm going to check it.
Exactly. And you had your friends there along with you wanting to succeed.
Yeah, saying don't give up that you missed that note.
Exactly.
That your trumpet sounds
saying keep going because it's for the band, you know, the benefit of the whole group.
Yeah.
And so it's like the extra little push, you know. You wanna do good not just for yourself but for your friends and for the whole band. And
they were probably, they're the older ones going, yeah, no, I was just like you in the beginning, but now here I am.
Yes.
I always wanted to do drums.
Hey, that's a hard talent. It's very difficult. People think that's easy. No,
it's not. The rhythm of that.
You gotta have really good rhythm.
You know, there's a lot of great movies that have been made with those instruments.
Oh yeah.
And doing the drums. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know.
It's great.
So there's a following.
Absolutely.
There's a music following.
And if you listen to anything you listen to on the radio, you know, how do you think those people got their start? They had to get it somewhere.
Yes. Well, I've certainly enjoyed talking with you. You're very impressive, and I think that you will have a bright future no matter what you choose to do.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I hope that, you know, this week you'll take time to try some new things with music. You know, listen to some opera or some classical music and share, you know, with Lindsey or on social media why music matters. Okay, y'all, take time to live well.